Hi everybody, today we'll be discussing current issues within the recruitment and retention of quality foster parents. My name is Austin Will.
I'm Molly Goodwin. I'm Kendall.
So the first question you have to ask yourself is, why does this affect you? That's because $4.3 billion in tax dollars is spent on the foster care system each and every year. So if you think about all those foster children as they age out of the foster care system or grow up into adults, half of them never get gainful jobs, and that's because 40 to 50% of them never complete their high school diploma. And 66% of them either become homeless, end up in jail, or actually pass away. So if you think about all the foster children, even after they age out of the foster care system, the majority of them are still very dependent on the government's assistance in some way, shape, or form, causing a domino effect for years to come. So looking further into detail of why recruitment is currently an issue right now, we have talked to Amy Priest, who is a social worker for the last 17 years. And we have found that foster children are experiencing more violence, such as sexual abuse, physical abuse, mental abuse, and they're also experiencing drug abuse from their biological parents. So currently in Indiana, there's 16,407 children in the foster care system. The question for foster parents, well actually because foster children are experiencing more violence, the question for foster parents is no longer whether they have extra room for one more child to take in. The question we now have to ask foster parents is, are they willing to dedicate more time and energy in the healing process of these foster children? So our current problem and pain statement is one of the biggest issues in the foster care system is the recruitment and retention of quality foster parents.
So one solution that is currently being used is the Mockingbird family model. And it's basically a cluster of like 8 to 10 families, and then there's one experienced parent that's in that group. And it's a support network for the foster families, because like if there's new parents, they have any concerns, they can talk to the experienced parent. And they also have to have 2 open beds available at all times throughout the year for like the other parents in the cluster to drop their kids off, because it's a hassle to take foster kids out of the state. There's so much paperwork and there's like a bunch of things you have to go through. So it would make it a lot easier. And also if the foster parents are like really stressed out because they're not used to having this new child in the house, they could just like take a night off and go do something else. And this is also good for the child because they're familiar with the experienced parent. They aren't just like getting dropped off at some random foster parent's house that they've never been there before. And in a 2009 evaluation, the states that use this Mockingbird family model had 88% retention, and the state average is only 69%, so it has been effective. And this is their philosophy. They care about like normalization, continuity of care, and caregiver support, and they also want it to be like an unconditional community-based care. That's why they have like the different families. It's like a little community of their own. So we went off of the Mockingbird family model and made the Hoosier family model. And we like the open bed policy, but we know that in Indiana, not all the houses are as big as like some richer states. So we thought we would change that to just like one open bed available at all times for the children to be dropped off there. And we also like the support network for the families, so we would keep like the 8 to 10 parents, or the 8 to 10 families with one experienced parent in the cluster so they could go there for advice or whatever. And then we thought that we would add a weekly support group, so like all the kids could go to one family's house a week and then like the next week go to someone else's house. This would allow the children to have like friends that are going through the same thing as them. They could get to know the other parents really well. They could become like aunts and uncles or grandparents if they don't have like a big family in the area. This would also help the parents because they could talk about their issues or their concerns, or they could just like have a night off and do whatever they need to do. And we would also add one counselor per support network. It's hard for the foster kids to adjust to a new family. It's hard for like the parents to adjust to a new kid. So there's a counselor they can talk about their problems with. It can help like the retention because the foster parents wouldn't feel so overwhelmed.
So in order to make the Hoosier family model work, we have to focus on our target customers, and some of our most important ones would be the foster parents and foster children, as they will be utilizing this model in order to hopefully improve the relationship between one another. And the foster care employees will also utilize this. The government of Indiana will be primarily in charge of funding in order to make sure that we can make this happen. And then also the Indiana Department of Child Services, or DCS, will play a role in helping with our key activities, which include licensing, training, and recruiting. And then our secondary customers as Indiana taxpayers, since we pay around $4.3 billion in foster care a year, we would like for the adoption rates to increase because the higher the adoption rate, the lower that we have to pay each year for foster care. Going off of our business model of value proposition, for foster families who need guidance, our main goal is to improve the relationships between the children and the foster parents. And we will also be providing extra resources and incentives for these families in order to improve the quality of life for them. We have two main key partners. Our first one is the Indiana government, which they will be in charge with funding, and we'd also like to work with the Casey Foundation as they will be able to provide grants in order to make the funding possible. Our second key partner is the Indiana Department of Child Services, which is DCS for short, which is Indiana's version of Child Protective Services. They will be in charge of testing, recruiting, and licensing. For testing, we would like to get 8 to 10 clusters of families, and we would like one counselor for each cluster or family, and this would kind of be like a trial one. And in the end, it'll show us if we are going in the right direction or see if we need any improvement to make it more effective and better. For recruiting, we would like to recruit as many foster parents as possible, and the DCS would be in charge of providing the best quality foster parents. And then for licensing, we would like our counselors to be licensed, especially in the field of foster care, as this would provide the most efficient and most effective care and training.
Okay, so a couple of our key resources is the Indiana government webpage where our model will be posted, the social workers that will be sharing this new model with the foster parents themselves, and the foster parents that will be enacting out this program on a day-to-day basis. And then, of course, the counselors that will be helping the foster children and foster parents throughout the process. A couple key customer relationships that we'll be monitoring throughout the process is making sure that we're actually getting quality foster parents, and also that they are getting the support system that actually works best for their needs.
So some of our customer segments are social workers and then current and potential foster parents, and then like through the foster parents we would help the foster children. And we're also trying to target the private foster care systems. So some channels that we could do this through would be churches, because we found that churches are a good way to recruit people because people there are like usually willing to help. We would also post it on the Indiana government website. And then word of mouth would be a good way because if people are having success with it, they'll tell their friends about it. And then we would also post it on private foster care websites.
So in conclusion, our main focus is on the foster parents themselves. We have found that foster parents are the most effective when it comes to recruiting new parents into the program. So by implementing the Hoosier family model, we hope to provide a better support system for foster parents, making the process that much more enjoyable and easier for them. Therefore, in return, they'll be more likely to share their positive experiences with potential parents. Foster parents will be able to answer any questions or concerns that new parents would have coming into the program while providing a support system throughout the process. In doing this, we hope to reduce the Indiana tax dollars spent on the foster care system, as we hope more children will be adopted through this program. If not, we believe that foster children will be growing up with a better support system into adulthood. Thank you, guys.